Welcome guys, welcome back, and let's continue from last class. If you guys go through, we have discussed some of the very important approach. I can say it is not the type of the language normally that we market see. It is one of the approach that normally we use to manage the data in our programming world. It is all upon guys which kind of program you write. If you think your program will have a lot of different data come up from a different source from the inputs, how well you organize your data so that management of the data, security of the data, retrieving of the data would be very easy. So if you think you want to manage the data, one of the approach that you can use is called object oriented programming. So in my last class, I have explained you at very core level what is the meaning of object oriented programming, what is object, what is classes, what is instances, and some more multiple thing constructors, and some more respective information about ops. So here I'm using Python as a language, but if you go to any other programming language, maybe Java or C++ or Scala, the concept is exactly the same. Syntax might be different, but concept is exactly same. But understand one thing: it is not like this. We have to apply ops anywhere and everywhere. You can apply it. There's nothing wrong about it. Okay, because finally in the classes you have to create a method. A method is exactly equals to function. So normally in the programming world, we always create a function for something. So technically, whatever normal function you create, same thing, same way you can create a method and put all the method in one box called class, and finally your class has been created. So creating the class and creating the method is not a big deal. You can create anywhere and anytime. But I feel, and it is also a good thing to know, always create a class or a method whenever you feel like that you want to organize a different set of datas. The way I explain you in my last class also, because technically it is something like this. If I again very quickly revise the thing, so it all of the data that you put inside your program, either the data come from the network or either data you give you as an input, all the data actually store right technically on the top of your memory, means I'm talking about the RAM. Okay, but but if you think you have some set of data, for example, the way I explained you in my last class, and the example I took is, for example, if one of the visitor visit your company, let's say visitor is V1, visit your office, your company, and this visitor, we want to ask some information about this visitor. So what we do, we create one separate file, and where we ask what is your name, they say I am for example V1, what is your surname or last name, what is your email ID. So all the information related to this visitor I want to manage in the separate file. So in the future, if you want to retrieve the entire information about this user, we can go to this particular box or this particular file, and typically in this world, this box or this file is known as instance. I go to this instance and say whatever data you have in this box, I want to retrieve, want to update or delete, whatever you want, you can do there. So for this, so what is the good thing about this? For example, if you have one more visitor come up, V2, we can create a separate box or separate name space or separate file. Technically, it again known as instance. Instance, and we keep all the information of this V2 guys in this instance. So technically, if you again go through my last class, it look like it is just an approach to sorry, it is just an approach to manage and organize the data or the information. So whenever you have this kind of requirement come up, when you want to manage something as a data or the information. One of the strategy or approach you can use is object oriented programming. What is object here? This instance is also known as object. So for us v1 is a visitor, it is a unique object for me, and we create one, we devote one dedicated part of the RAM, and that's called instance. So typically either you can use the word instance and object, somehow they are same, but normally we use the word object here, a person or this guy or this kind of object. We use object, and the part of the data or part of the RAM where we keep the information of this object is normally known as instance. But otherwise you can use word object or instance, both the word has a similar kind of meaning. So this concept, guys, I already explained you, but before you put any data in your box, in your RAM, or in this instance, you have to probably plan it. What kind of data you want to manage? It is not like this, randomly you are somebody you ask postal code, somebody you ask email address, somebody you ask their phone number, somebody you ask your landline number, right? You have to first properly organize what all information you collect from all the visitors and to make the thing very much easily managed or very much standardized. So initially you plan properly and say, whenever the visitor come up, I always ask for the name, I always ask for the phone number, I always ask for the remark or feedback, something like this, or purpose of visit. Okay, so this plan we create, and now whenever any new instance object come up, we ask only these three things. Okay, so this plan is kind of blueprint or is kind of template. Here it is known as class. So in the last class, guys, I will explain you what is class. So class is like just a plan or template. Means you initially plan already, right, what kind of information you're gonna ask in the future. But in my last class, the way I explained to you, you can think this class is like a soft copy of your form, of your visitor form. What I mean by this is just an example or analogy I used in my last class. So class is equals to whatever soft copy of the visitor form you create. And whenever any visitor come up, you just go to your printer, print out the soft copy and create a hard copy, and this is your hard copy. So every object, every instance is like a hard copy. Everybody fill their information. Okay, so class is just a create a plan, and object is a real thing, that is where we store a real information. Okay, so that's what, guys, we have discussed in my last class. I just try to explain you a little bit in other way. Okay, but my actual say here is it is not like this, because sometime somebody always say just create a program in ops. So it is not like this, just create in the ops. First understand your requirement, what your use case you have. Okay, and according to use case, if you think now you have to arrange a lot of data per object or per person, and everybody I want to manage their respective information, and all the information of v1 or v2 will be same. Same means same kind of information I want to ask from these guys. So these kind of scenarios, classes would be a great way to manage the things. That's what I just want to tell you. So very quickly, guys, let me create a code. Okay, then I will do some more things. So today's my plan, guys, to tell some more internal about classes and object, and then we go for inheritance, and if we got some extra time, then I go for function or method overriding, then we go for overloading, and some more concept we'll see. Let's see how much time we have. So my plan is to today and maybe tomorrow we will complete this object classes and this topic of object and the classes. Sorry, guys, I hold for a second. So so let's continue. So what I'm doing, guys, I'm creating a same class. Let's say initially my company plan that a lot of visitor gonna visit in our company, so they create a class with the name of visitor. Okay, and what they do, okay, they say right now, guys, I'm not doing anything. I'm just creating a pass keyword. pass means, you guys know, in the Python, if you don't write any block of code and if you want to type something like this, that I don't have any block of code, so this is syntax doesn't support in the Python. So in the Python, if you want to create any block of code that is empty, you can use pass as a keyword. So technically my class is created, and in my class we don't have anything. It's clean. You can think it is like a while planning we have a soft copy, and the soft copy is purely clean, nothing is there, none of the plan we put here. So you can think in this way. Okay, and now from this class, if some of the visitor come up, let's say the visitor name called Jack come up, and they say, I would like to, I'm a visitor for you, can you please create a hard copy of the form? Okay, so we give this hard copy, so soft copy, and we print it. That's all. So it means we have created one object. It look like it is actually like it actually technically thing, we give a one dedicated space in my RAM where Jack as an object or as an instance, right? We keep their information. Keep their information. Okay, but if you want, if you're interested, guys, to see what information Jack has in the memory, in their box. So for example, Jack is one of the visitor. Let's say we have one more visitor come up called Chris. So Chris will have their own space. So let's say one more visitor come up called Chris, and they also I instantiate this guy from this class. So in my RAM we have two different instances. Okay, but right now none of the instances have nothing, because this is a soft copy. From this soft copy I created two hard copy, something like this, from the printer, and this is a hard copy for Jack, this is hard for Chris, and right now nothing is there, everything is empty. So how I know? So there's a way. So you can ask Jack. Okay, and there's a guys, if you see the dir command, you know, the dir function over here. So dir function, guys, give you lots of internal pre-created functions or the method, and one of the method is what I try to say is this one, dict underscore dict. So what I mean by this, if you want to see, okay, in what you have okay, inside your box. So if you want to see inside the Jack box or Jack instance or this object, what old data we have feed yet. Okay, you can use this function and they say everything is empty. It means that Jack hard copy piece is empty. Jack has not yet filled anything. Okay. Same thing if you talk about Chris. Chris, can you show me in your RAM how much or how many data you have? Again, it is purely empty. So it's a good, it's a cool option, right? You can think is you're going inside the RAM and see from the namespace what kind of data they have. And why they have nothing? Because my class say, because we have no plan, I'm just giving some blank page to you. Whatever you want to fill, you can fill it. So Jack can fill whatever they want to fill. For Jack say, so in my room, I want to fill my phone number. Let's say my phone number 1234. So randomly anybody can start filling some information. But now, if you again run this code, you can see now in the Jack room, some information come up. Or Jack say, no, I want to fill one more thing in my hard copy page, my address, or my, for example, my last name. Let's say something XYZ. So again, guys, in the Jack room, one more info to come up. So this command is very interesting. It's a good way to practice and understand what happening behind the scene. So technically, we are reading this entire part of the memory of the Jack or the Chris part of the Jack. Okay, so this way you can do, but it is not like look like very much organized things. Anybody can start feeding any data. Chris can go and say, Chris, say I want to put my phone number. So instead of phone, they start putting mobile. So it's not like very much standardized. Anybody can put their own variable names, and here it is called key name and the value name. They start putting the key name and the value name. So I don't want this kind of not properly organized kind of thing. I want everything is very secure, very much sync. So if Jack is using phone, the Chris is also using phone. Why I want everything with the same name? So that it should be very organized, very sync, because everybody has same key name or the variable name. So in the future, I can very easily create a loop, because if you want to use a loop, your name or key name should be always same. Otherwise, normally creating loop or syncing something would be always very hard. And that is one of the reason the use of class come in play. Okay, so class say if somebody use me, okay, so I will create one function that is called constructor. Okay, and what is constructor? I already told you. So whenever guys you call this class, this is called instantiation. This function is some kind of predefined function that's called constructor, and they always run. Because I told you in my one class you can create a multiple functions or method, but other method you have to call by yourself. But this is the one of the method they always call. But and guys, in the class, whenever you call any function method, you have to be very clear that this method, you have to very clear and tell the function we are running you, but you have to run and retrieve the data or change the data from this box or from this box. So you have to give the address of that box, and that is the reason we always use variable called self or something like this. Okay, and then in this function, whatever you want to do, you can do. So in the function I can say, so for example, if Jack call this class, so Jack internally pass the address of the RAM to this class. Okay, and this address they store in one of the variable called self, but you can use any other variable also. I told you in my last class. Okay, but whenever Jack call the class, okay, automatically this function always run. So technically this function know the address of the Jack. Now because self is a variable who know the address of the Jack, so here I can say in this address store the name, in this address store the phone number, in this address store the last name. But from where you get the name, last name, all the things. So while calling the Jack, I can pass here. I can say Jack, your first name is Jack. Jack, your last name is let's say XYZ, or your phone number is 12345. Again, this concept I already explained. I just want to quickly show you some more because I want to explain you some internal concept like dict, so you can see what is happening behind the scene. Okay, but this constructor and this one thing I already explained you in my last class. But I told you guys in my last class, whenever you call a class, internally they automatically call a constructor, and all this argument will go to this function. So we need variables parameter here to retrieve. So I can say n will store my name, l will store my last name, p store my phone number, and I can pass n here, l here, p here, something like this. Okay, so finally let me remove path. I don't know, need now. Okay, so now what happened? Now this form has been created or class has been created. Okay, and now anybody who instantiate or an object create or instance create, so Jack is a one new instance create, it means automatically we provide one extra space for the Jack, and automatically in this space 3 key value stored. Which one? Name equals to Jack, last name equals to XYZ, and phone number equals this one. And how I know? Again, I check with the dict keyword, and you can say in the room and the space or the name is for Jack, these 3 information stored. Similarly, if I call the Chris, this will fail because we have been set the constraint that whenever you call the class, this function always run automatically, or because they run automatically, and that is the reason is called constructor. Or in this constructor, because we asked to pass 3 argument always, and we haven't passed, so this personal argument error come up. So Chris also have to pass their name, their last name, let's say ABC, their mobile number, let's say this one. Okay, and now Chris has the information here. And now from here you can also see from Jack room, if they want to see any data of the Chris, is not visible. Right? If Jack want to retrieve any data of the Chris and the phone number of the Chris, they won't able to see it. Okay, because it is not available, right? So this is one small information I just want to tell. Okay, but this guys say some requirement. There's some requirement. There would be, for example, let me create some more function here. Okay, let's say the function that I'm going to create here is I want to retrieve phone number. So this is a function we have, right? Retrieve the phone number. Okay, and what I want in this function will return something to me, and what they return the phone number. Phone number. Okay, now phone number what, right? Because now if you see, this guy has their own phone number, this guy has a own phone number, right? So their number is different, but the variable is same. So you should be very clear. You have to tell that we have two boxes. I want to go to this box, and in this box, what a phone number variable we have, I want to retrieve. Okay. For this, you have to pass the address of this box, and for this, you guys know we have to use a keyword self again. Okay. And I have to retrieve the wherever I'm in whatever the variable name phone you can find in this box in the room or namespace, retrieve it. Okay, that's what we can do. Okay, but how to call this function, you guys know. We can tell Jack that you have your own personal room. Okay, in this personal room, I want to apply this function. This called return phone function. That's all. So okay, so why this error come up? Because after we call this, we have to again instantiate the Jack, because something we changed in the class. Now the phone number come up. Okay, so the meaning of this line is we are Jack is the one who know that I am object and I know my address, right? Even though if you run the Jack only, so they say I am the object, I know my address. So it's not the actual address, but it's like a virtual address. But they say I know the address of my RAM. Okay, so I'm passing this address to this function, and this function store this address in the self variable. They go to my room, and whatever phone number I have, they retrieve. And same number they retrieve for me. Same thing I can do with Chris, and say Chris, can you go and retrieve your phone number? They say yes, I can also retrieve my number. So if you see, it's all purely based on on organizing the data. Okay. But again, I just want to emphasize, if Jack want to retrieve the phone number of Chris, there is no possibility. We can see here, and Chris want to know the last name of the Jack. They can't do here. You can think in this way also, the way I explained you in last class, because these are the variable. Is this inside this function, or any variable that you create inside the function is also have a local scope. This might be one of the way you can think of. But there might be some time I need if you see about this diagram, so there's some use requirement come up where I want this box has the own personal variable, this box or instance has the own personal variable. You can think it's like a local scope, but I want there would be some variable I want to use as a centralized kind of. So this guy can also use, this guy can also use. You can think as a global scope kind of thing. So if instance 1 want to use or instance 2 want to use, every instance can use this variable. So if you want to create any variable that every instance can use, okay, so for this you have to create this variable on the top before means outside to the function. Okay, for example, one of the variable name would be, let's say I know all this user might belong to some country, and we know almost all the guys belong to a country, let's say India. I said here. Okay, so this is also variable, but guys, if you notice here, the variable that I create, name, name, phone number, I am putting inside the box of that particular instance. But here I'm not using any cell. This means I'm not putting this variable in any of the box. It means I'm putting this variable in my main program. So all the method and all the instances can use this variable. But because this variable I'm putting inside the class, so this variable actually known as class variable. Okay, so class variable, you can think it is equals to a global scope kind of. Okay, now what happened? And the variable that you create inside inside your function, it is known as instance variable. Instance variable. So now what happened? Now happen again. Let me repeat, run. And now if you ask Jack, okay, what and how much data you have in your room, again they have 3. Okay, it means if they have 3, so if I ask Jack, okay, can you tell me your phone number? They say I know my phone number, but can you tell me your country, which country you belongs to? Which country you belongs to? Okay, and now if you see here, in the Jack room, we don't have any country parameter or key or the variable. Okay. Even though if you try to retrieve, they can retrieve. because country is global kind of thing, or is like a class variable. Okay, is something like this. Because maybe there might possibility right now your company where this form has been visitor form has been created is serving in the India region. Okay, so so anybody for example, Chris also come up and want to see that I am a visitor, I just want to know for which country we are serving. Okay, they say India. But maybe in the future, if you want to change the country for all the visitors, just you don't have to go to all the self variable and change there. Okay, so change there, just change in one place and it will update to all the. For example, let me very quickly do over here. Okay, change, and now country is changed for everyone. Everyone. Okay, but understand one thing. Okay, right now if you want to change your country name, there's a global means you want to update all the guys. Changing in the class is not good way. For example, I want to change my country to AG, for example. Okay. If you directly change in the class, you have to again run the code and again reload the class, and if you again reload the class and if you try to change, again they're still pointing the old one. Because the class we again reinitiated, so again you have to create a new object again and then it will update. So technically what I'm talking about, why I create a global variable, so that I can keep some common information for everyone, or every objects. Okay, but in the future, if you want to change this common information to everyone, maybe my country change, my data center change, this might be, the maybe in this company employees record and company fixed that every year I give 5% hike in the salary, but next year they want to give a hike of 20%, for example. So this is a common variable they put here for that purpose, for all the employees or for all the visitor maybe. Okay, so obviously for this they don't want to reload the form, because if you reload the form, we have to again reload this instance with the new data or with that data. Okay, so here guys, what can we do? Here we can use the take the help of class name. So guys, if you can see the visitor class, visitor is just a class name. And again, if you are in the dict function in this class also, okay. So guys, Chris and Jack is your hard copy form. Visitor is your soft copy form. I mean, Jack and Chris your object and visitor is your class. And you can also see all the data in your class. And now it is very clear. Okay, there's a lot of thing here, but it's very clear. In this class, we have one variable that is belong to class, and this is the thing is called class variable. Okay. And if you want to see or change class variable on the fly, so what can you do? Here you can have to ask the visitor and say, visitor, you have a field called country, and I want you to change the country. Let's say you have to change the country to UAE. Okay. So it means without loading the again this class, right? Automatic this variable change, you see, it's been changed. Okay. Because my other object is getting the country name for my class, now everyone has changed the country name. So if you think guys, some of the in your while programming, if you think there's some information you want to keep same for everyone and you want to be centralized managed, there you can use the class variable or global variable. But interesting thing, you can also do one more thing here. Okay, one more thing here. Because my class say my country name is UAE, so everybody is facing country name UAE. But there is one more interesting thing you can do in your Python. Okay, Jack want to do work with a different country and different data center. Jack can change their country name. And now if you see the Jack country name is India, but Chris is still working for UAE. But Chris is actually getting the name from the class. Okay, and now if you see the Jack dictionary, so Jack will come up with one more new field. Okay, so my class initially say, or anybody who visitor come in my company or employee come in my company, I say you have to work for AG, or maybe you have to work for AG or whatever you have. Okay, so by default you work for AG. Okay, that's what you think, or maybe because I already updated, or UAE. Okay, so that's what Chris is working for UAE. But Jack say I want to change my location, my city, my country, or something else. So I would like to update my thing. So it's updated. Or you can think in this way. Let's say company fix the increment for all is 5% every year. So by default everybody will get a 5% increment. Okay, but there might be a reason Jack has done some kind of exceptional grade in the services, so company will update the increment for the Jack exception, maybe 20% or 50% increment in their salary. Okay, so this is the one of the case where you can directly instance can change a class variable directly, and if they change, that information is stored in their personal space, in the personal row. So technically, if you see in this kind of diagram, so it will be something like this. Jack has their own personal space. They have the name, they have the phone number, their last name, but now they also maintaining their own country name. Okay, and if you talk about this is Jack namespace, and if you talk about Chris namespace, Chris is maintaining their name, their phone number, their last name, but they don't have a country. Or because they don't have their country, so they're pulling the country information from the class variable or from the centralized location. Okay, it is something like this. So it means it work like this. Whenever you ask Jack what country information you have, Jack will always see in their room. If they find, they will give this information. But if you ask the Chris what country information you have, again they check in their room. Something like this. Again they check in their room. Okay, and if they don't find the information of the country, then Chris say because I belongs to visitor class, so does the visitor class has this, or do you have anything centralized? What does I have the country information? If yes, I will pull from there. So this is a way, guys. Again, is purely a way to organize the thing. And one more way, very typical example that you can use in the classes. Maybe there might be requirement. My company want to count the number of visitors come in my company. So here we can create a variable called number of visitor. Or initially when we create a class, number of visitor we have 0. But we know whenever we instantiate a class and create a new instance, this constructor always run. So I can go inside the constructor and say say in your class visitor you have a variable called number of visitor. Okay, I want increase the value by 1. Increase the value by 1. Okay, so guys, here I'm not using self. Self means you're storing this information in one of the box in jack or I don't want. I want to store this information centralized. So that's the reason I have to use the name of my class. So what happened? Right. So let's say I'm just doing from starting. So what happened? What happened right now? If I ask my class the total number of sorry, my screen was stuck. So technically what I'm doing here, I set my number visitor in my class variable. Okay, and again I'm repeating, guys, as soon as your class instantiate, this constructor always run and when they run, right, the variable will increase by 1. So it means you create 10 instance, 10 times they run, 10 times the value increase because I'm doing +1. So it means you have 10 visitor. So this is the first time I'm running this class, and now if I'm asking my class how many visitor we have, they say 0. But as soon as the jack come up, now if I again run, I see 1. Now again Chris come up, I'm running this line. If you ask number of visitor you have, you get 2. Okay, so it is increasing. So this is also one of the example, very typical example where we would like to use class variables. So typically and finally the use of class variable, if you want to share some information to all the function and to all the instances, same information, common information I can say. Okay, there you can use a global variable called class variable. Or you want to do this kind of use cases operation, like a number of visitor you want to count and something like this. Here also you can use a class variable kind of concept. But again, the whole and sole purpose of doing this code is to managing the information per instances. This has the own information, this has the own information, and this guy has some common information for all. That's how it is working. Okay, now this is some concept I explained you already. Okay, now what I'm doing here, let's go for a concept called inheritance. So what is inheritance? We have already discussed in my last class. I don't want to again further want to discuss the inheritance, but very quickly if I try to understand, again let's say we have a jack is one of the visitor v1 come in my company, in my office, and because they are the visitor, my company hand over one class, means one form where we ask what is your name, your last name, your phone number, some of the information they collected. Okay, but maybe this user wanted to join in a company as an employee. Okay, and my company want to do some more thing for the employee, so they create one more form. Form means I'm talking about class. So they create one more class, and let's say the class name is called, let's say class is called visitor class or visitor form. Here this class, let's say, is employee class, or class is making thing as a form. But it's a good way to manage is because we know Jack is already has their own personal space where they keep their name, last name, phone number. This information we already has, so why to ask them information again? So let's retrieve this information from the main class, and this class used for further things. And this class we use to get further information. Okay, so this kind of concept I already explained in my last class with some more basic level. Okay, but here in this class, so here in this example, this form or this class is called parent class, and this class is called child class. Why child class? Why child class? Because the child class is getting all the pre-created information from the parent. Okay, it's not only the information or the variable, they're also getting all the pre-created functions also. Function means method also. So for example, in over here, they already have a method called retrieve phone number. Okay, so you don't have to create the same function here. You can directly call this function in this class. Okay, so this concept is called inheritance. So guys, I just want to very quickly just give you a summary, but technically if you don't understand this concept right now, go to my last class. There I explain you already inheritance in very detail. Okay, by some kind of example. Okay, so how to create inheritance, let me show you. And for this, let me start again from the starting. Let's say this is the visitor form we have created. In my company plan, that almost everybody come in the company, they normally serve India as a region. And initially, because this is time we are planning, we don't have any visitor, 0. But whenever they come, I will always ask 3 things from them: name, last name, and the phone number. Something like this. And we give one benefit to these guys. If they wanted to know their phone number, they can retrieve. Or maybe let me create one more function. They wanted to retrieve their full name. Okay, so they will pass their name of their namespace, and I will return their name and their last name. For name and last name, guys, stored in a variable called space called self and self. And let me add these 2 guys and give some extra space to format and space. Okay, so if somebody finally want to retrieve their phone number, they want to retrieve their full name, whatever they feed initially, I can provide to that guy. Okay, so initially in my class, we create a lot of instance variable, class variable, multi-functions, means multi-method we have created. Because initially we plan that for the visitor, these are the information we need. That's all. So we have created. Okay, but maybe there might possibility this visitor might be a part of my company, maybe as a student or maybe as a as a employee. So let's create one more form for employee. Employee. Okay, and here what I want okay, what I want in this form, let's say nothing, is a plain paper. Okay, but I want to attach this plain paper or soft copy paper with my this paper. Okay, so this is guys concept called inheritance. So how to attach this? For this you have to write this kind of syntax. So I'm telling employee you are a class, but now you are a subclass or the child class, and your parent class is visitor. It means whatever the variables, constructor, class variables or method you have in the parent class, just go and get all the data. Right? Means just go and get all the code you can think this way. This is called inheritance. But what you have in your page, nothing. So you guys think this is the soft code page of visitor, this is soft copy page of employee, and this page is empty. Let's see, a pass is empty. But anybody who come in my company and say, I want, like for example, let's say me, Vimal. Vimal come in my company and say, I want to join this company as employee. Okay, so Vimal wanted to retrieve, want to use this form or this class. Okay, you know what happened? This failed. And they say 3 is missing. Why 3 is missing? In the employee there is no constructor. Even though there is 3 is missing, because employees say I'm calling this class and this class has a constructor, or because this class is asking for 3 variable. That is the reason, guys, this 3 error, this 3 required parameter come up. So Vimal say I'm a employee. So if you are employee, just pass your full name, your first name, your last name, your mobile number, something like this. Okay. So technically, if you notice, guys, here Vimal is not asking for the visitor form, they're asking for the employee form, but even though all the method that is available in the visitor form can be accessed by Vimal. For example, if Vimal want to use retrieve full name function, it's come up. Or Vimal want to retrieve the function called phone, it's come up. Or Vimal want to retrieve country name, come up. Okay. Even though I call or I instantiate with my subclass or my child class, so all the all the information come up here. Now question is, guys, if everything is come in my child class and you're not putting anything in the child class, so what is the need of the child class? Or why we need this child class, right? Same thing I can do directly with calling my parent class also. So need is something like this. Okay, maybe let's say, okay, when somebody first time come, okay, and there we ask about that guy, what is your purpose and what is your role in your company. So let me store the role. So I'm creating one more variable and here I'm storing the role. Let's say R is a variable and role here we are asking. So what I mean by this, let me explain in a minute. Okay, so if somebody come in my company, okay, here we also asking, Jack, tell me what is your role in the company. They say I'm just a visitor. I'm just a visitor. So Jack say this is my name, my full name or my last name, my mobile number, and my role in this company is a visitor. Right now I'm just a visitor. Or this visitor is stored in the variable called R, and this R is stored in the variable called role. Or in the future, if somebody want to retrieve and Jack want to retrieve what is their role in the company, they can create a function method and say retrieve my role in the company. They pass their variable of their room or namespace and they say my role in this company is what? Self dot what? Self dot role. So this is a function we have created. So now what happened? Now if Jack run this, and in the future Jack want to know their role, what role they have in this company, right? They Jack say I'm just a visitor, or maybe let me do, instead of comma I just concrete, so one single string comma. Okay. So Jack say I'm just a visitor in the company. But here Vimal want to join the company and they want to join the company company as a employee. Let me do one more small thing. Let's say if anybody who use this form, we know it's but obvious, guys, we know this. Anybody who use this form, obviously they are the visitor, so there's no meaning to ask from them. Obviously I can say you are the visitor. There is no meaning to ask from these guys. Obviously if you give this form to anybody, it is but obvious they are the visitor. Okay, so technically if Jack use this form, they don't have to pass because they are using the visitor form, so it's but obvious they are the visitor in the company. Okay, but Vimal want to join this company and Vimal want to use all the method, all the function, all the variable they want to store. Okay, but Vimal say I am not the visitor of this company. My role would be what I say the employees. Okay, here the use of different class come in play. Okay, and what we do, okay, in this class we can create a same function one more time. Exactly same function. Okay, and in this function what we'll do, right, we say Vimal, in your room I'm updating your role and your role is employee, and after updating After updating, I will also return your role name. And there's no meaning of pass here now. So what I mean by this, what happened, okay, if you see guys, employee is a child class visitor. It means all the variables and function from the parent come to this class. But there's one function, one function that is common in both. Same function, exactly same function is there in the parent and exactly same function is there in child. If this kind of scenario come up, why this kind of scenario come up? Because if I use the same function from parent and this function, they have fixed that their role is always visitor. Visitor. Okay. I don't want this. So we will want to update this method and say, I want my method will update my role to employee in my room, and they will return my new role called employee. I mean, employee or developer or a student, whatever the role you have. Okay. So in this case, right? In this case, you have to create one more class. In this class, you have thousands of functions. Use all the function, use all the variable, but whatever you think you want to change for the employee variable name or something like, you can update here. Now, in this case, what happened? Now, if Vimal say I'm not a visitor, I want to just employ. Okay, so Vimal send this 3 information. This 3 information go to this guy. This guy don't have a constructor, so they call the constructor of your child class. They update all the things there. Okay, all the things there. Plus they also update visitor also. Okay, but if Vimal tried to retrieve their full name, same thing come up, right? Even though in the employee we don't have full name, same thing come up. But we will try to retrieve their role. See what happened. Employee come. Okay. So technically, this is one of the use case why we need a child class, or why we need this kind of sub kind of class. Okay. And why we need to inherit inherit. So if somebody come in the company and they say my role is not for the visitor, I want to join as an employee or developer, so accordingly call this class. This class will use all the pre-created function and the variables, but whatever they want to change. If some of the functions already created, but we don't want to use the same function because according to my role we have some more extra thing. So I will call this, I will copy same function, put in my class and update. And guys, this concept is called a method, because this is a method, or maybe you can say function. So this concept is called, guys, function overriding. So in my child class, we are overriding our method, or you can say a function. It's not overloading. Overloading is different thing. We are overriding the method or the function. And why are we overriding? Because already there. But why we are overriding? Because whatever is there in my parent class is not right for me. Maybe in my parent class we fix this part that you are always the visitor. I don't want this. Okay, so I create the same function here and change according to my subclass, whatever I want to do here. Okay, so this is the one of the use of inheritance and one of the use of the child class. Okay, so but you can create more child, and for example, this is the class, you can create one more child of this class. Okay, so this would be again child and this would be the parent, and here this is child and this is parent. Or for one parent you can create multiple childs also. Okay, so we can create one more child. For example, I'm creating one child, for example, student. Okay, student say again I'm inheriting from the visitor. Initially I will come here as a visitor, so we have all the information it's common we get from the visitor form. But because I am the student, so maybe I require some extra function that is not available. So I can create my own function here and say retrieve course. The student is the one who come here for the courses. So in my space I will store my course name. Okay, so here I will store my course, and my course name would be, let's say, C. Okay, or maybe let's say Python, for example. Okay, retrieve or maybe get or set. So I'm setting my course, something like this. So technically, when anybody, guys, can you hold for a second? So technically, anybody who, for example, let's say one user come up called Tom, and Tom say, I'm a student, so I just want to have this form. Again, they fail because this form is inherit of a visitor, and visitor has a in constructor. They require three values. So to pass these three values and say first name is Tom, last name is Z, my phone number is 12345, something like this. Okay, but now if you use the Tom, you can see Tom can use this function to set course function. Okay, and now if Tom see in their dictionary, so Tom has Python course also. Okay, Python course also. But if you see here, a student is a child class, and the parent, this function is not there. But technically, we know in the student we require some extra function that will set the course, get the course, or maybe they update the marks of the student. So extra function we can also create in the child class. They might not be available in the parent class. So in the child class, we can add some extra method. In the child class, we can update the previously created method. It's called overriding, and we can create variables and other things also. Okay, but why we create this? It's like a, again, I told you in my first class also of OPS. It's just way to manage the thing, right? All the common thing we put in the parent class, and whatever thing you want per domain and per use case and per requirement, you have extra, just keep on putting there. Either override from older one if you have something to be changed, and add something whatever you want to be thing as extra. Okay, so guys, this is a very high level sorry, this is a very high level meaning of inheritance. Same idea in other language also, syntax might be different, but same idea to be there in other languages also. Okay, but we have some more concept to be discussed, right, in our ops. Maybe I require one more class to complete object-oriented programming with respect to Python. So I need tomorrow class also. Tomorrow, guys, will complete this topic of object-oriented program. Okay, and most probably, guys, from next weekend we are going to a web development classes that is called Flask. Very important classes. I will start from very zero. Okay, so that's all for today. Any queries if you have? Any queries if you have? I'm just enabling the chat window. Any query you have till date, you guys can ask me. So any queries if you have, guys, whatever discussed. The topic is not yet complete. I need one more class. But even though any thing, any query you have with respect to inheritance and class instances variable, you can ask me. Yes, Pankaj, I will definitely try to take one separate class of cryptography that is related to security in this ISA. A lot of code were not visible while you were explaining. I think for some time it was, my screen got freezed. Okay, but otherwise I think my screen is in cerebral mode, so I think it should be there. Otherwise, I will share my this code to you in your Google Docs. Right, you can get the entire code from there. Okay, please take Flutter class. I definitely try, guys, to launch a Flutter also. I definitely try. Yes, I know, Ajay, right? Actually, there's some shortcut in the Jupyter. Let's meet on notebook. It is it is conflict with the shortcut of my studio of YouTube. So let me figure out, right? This might be reason sometime my screen got hang up. Okay, what is function overriding? I think I already explained you today, right? If you create a subclass or child class, and child class use same function that is there in in your parent class, okay, that is called function, or maybe you can use the word called method overriding. Okay, so that's all, guys, for today. See you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, guys. Uh,